But let's get into Cartoonist Corner, where we pick apart the events of the week with three of the sharpest minds and pens in the country. Cartoonist for The Australian, Johannes Leek, with the Herald Sun, Mark Knight, and the Daily Telegraph, Warren Brown. Thanks for joining us, gents. Hey, there's so much to talk about this week, but I always find myself trying to second guess what would tickle your fancy for an issue to highlight in a cartoon. And Johannes, surely the Chinese spy cameras is just hanging out there as a mozza. Here we are as a country actually buying cameras from China and installing them so they can spy on our government buildings.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But I mean, before we all go huffing and puffing about this, it's probably worth going to have a look at the modem sitting in the corner of your home office. Chances are it's made by Huawei, and every second person's got TikTok installed on their phones as well. I mean, if ever there was a sort of direct route back to the Communist Party in China, I mean, it's sitting on most people's phones, and they're just sort of uploading every detail of their lives into these things, and it's just
well, that's
we're
right.
being watched.
We are. Mark, there were warnings this week about Chinese cars and the computers in our cars. The Chinese could be spying on us with our cars. If you ever see your car go down to a coal mine and try and load up and take it to the port, China's running your car.
Well, Chris, where does this end? My vacuum cleaner is made in China. I just hope it's not spying on me.
That's why you should never use it.
Good point. Yes, I don't look. Everything in this room is made in China. You can't buy anything that's not made in China. So it's all got to go because it's all listening to us. But then again, like Johannes said, if you've got a Facebook or a Google account, I think our privacy has been threatened for such a long time. It doesn't really.
Well, that's the ridiculous thing I've often pondered, Warren, is as teenagers we all read 1984 and Brave New World and thought there's going to be this big government watching and listening to us. But instead, what happens is we have our own free will, buy these devices and send everything to the world.
Well, I can just say to Mark, if he's buying a communist Chinese vacuum cleaner, well, sucked in, I'd say, with that. But look, the thing about these spy...
It was cheap.
The first report about this was the Australian War Memorial. Why the War Memorial? Xi Jinping go to his minions and say, hey, fellas, I want to find out a bit about the Battle of Lone Pine in 1915. Could you put a camera in there so we can just learn a bit about it? But look, we all know that. Look, we had a balloon with a box brownie hanging off it fly over our place yesterday, and I knew it was the Chinese. I just knew.
We can't do anything. You got a vacuum cleaner trying to suck the map of Taiwan off the wall. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through three big issues of the week, and I'm going to use a cartoon from each of you to kick it off. I want to start off with interest rates, and this is a cartoon from you, Warren, typically bringing cars into it, and you show us that when the interest rates go down, the major banks get out the old jalopy, and they're pretty slow to get things fired up and pass on the rate cuts. But when the rates go up, they're like fungio. They can't get off the mark quick enough.
That's the thing, Chris. I mean, look, I'd like to say, it beggars belief, but it's no surprise, is it? I mean, that is the case. I mean, interest rate cuts, and we're all sort of, you can hear the crickets. Where are they coming? And sure enough, there's a rise, straight through. Anyway, that's what we expect from our banks.
Well, I tell you what, sticking with the automobile theme, I loved your cartoon earlier in the week, Mark, where you looked at Lydia Thorpe leaving the Greens, quitting the Greens. You've got her as a bikie. She's just cast off the Greens and out and bound. And that's so funny, so spot on, of course, the bikie link. But it's absolutely right. As my mate Paul Murray was saying the other night, she's played them all off a break and she's sitting pretty.
Isn't she a gift from God to we cartoonists? We're just looking at lips over Lydia. Look, she does love to get on the back of an outlaw motorcycle. We know that. I've seen photographs of her sitting on a bike. And there's a great expression that bike riders have, which is, ride it like you stole it. And I think Lydia is riding this Senate seat like she stole it. And in fact, she did. She's gone straight out the Greens party room and down the road.
I don't know if we can get the cartoon up again, though, but I love your number plate. The number plate is simply NO. No. She's an absolute ripper. And speaking of yes and no, I want to go to Johannes's cartoon about Victorian schools teaching only one side of the voice, supposedly. And you've got these kids sitting up outside the headmaster's office. One of them's there for shooting spitballs. The other one says she was fighting. And little Johnny there, the little ranger, says, writing a considered argument against the voice. Yeah, I think the kids will know which argument the teachers want to hear, mate.
That's right. I don't like the chances of them, having a serious debate about the pros and cons of the issue. It'll be a one-sided affair based on the people they've had come in and discuss the issue already. I mean, and it's also sort of getting to the point where the kids' time at school is sort of so chock full of ideological indoctrination these days. You want to sit a kid down and say, well, all right, let's hear the 7 times tables, and they'll say, I can't do it, but I can recite the Uluru Statement from the heart. That's sort of where this is all headed, I think.
I just wonder, though, would they spell black with a C or not?
Well, that's just tailor-made for sort of grade 1 kind of classrooms, isn't it?
It sure is.